What's up guys, it's Michael here. In this video, we're going to look at how you beat the top 99% of income earners in America. So the whole goal of this is to see where do you place within the income brackets in America and how can you do, or put it this way, what can you do to become within the top whatever specific percent bracket that you want to achieve. So first you gotta look at what do you want in life? What are you satisfied with? So based on a few articles, they say that you don't need that much money to be happy in life. But I basically reject against that because it really differs between person to person. Some people want more, some people have less. Some people are satisfied with what they have, some people don't like radical changes. Some people want changes, but they don't have the idea where to get started from. So if you take an example, for example, me, I like to experience change. I would like to see difficulty, and at the same time, I like to see easiness and rest. Meaning is, there are times I want to be really relaxed. Where I'm at, be really peaceful. In the next few years, I want some type of change. I want something to change, whether it's better or for the worse, but is a change. That's the whole point in life, so you don't get bored. For example, if you're retired and went to the beach every single day, you will get bored, most likely. If you don't have anything different in your life, then you'll find it really boring over time. So first, how does breaking into income? So first thing you should know that you should click the subscribe button down below and the like button for the YouTube algorithm for my channel. But that's besides the point. So first, we're gonna look at the top income earners in America. So first, if you look it down, and this is quite a graph, and I find it really interesting is because how do they basically bracket them off selves to? A lot of people saying the top earners in America, the corporate greed. In the same time, how I see it, yeah, you can play the game. But the question is, instead of complaining all the time, why don't you go out and try to become one of those top earners? So first, you gotta know that they break it out to multiple categories, and these are based on websites like Investopedia, other websites like CNBC, and the list goes on. But first, looking at the top 0.1%. This is basically looking at people like the CEOs, the best out of best. These are the top of the top earners. So on average, the top 0.1% of earners make an average around $3.2 million. So that is an insane amount, extending the fact that I'm pretty sure they still haven't paid their taxes. And most likely 3.2 million, those people making that amount, most of the time, if you're a business, there are business owners, meaning is this 3.2 million, they use them really wisely. For example, they put them in tax write-off. They know how to utilize the tax code, like I mentioned in previous videos. I made a 1099 videos, I made W2 videos, but that is basically scratching the surface about tax forms. And that is unfortunately a majority of what people use. So in that case, these people honestly make way more than 3.2 million, but this is what on average they take back. I'm pretty sure they take way more than that, and personally my own clients, I have seen that already. And if you want to know more, click the subscribe button down below, and I'll make more videos about that. Just comment down below, and I'll look for the topic that you guys are willing to watch and learn from. So breaking down to number 2, which is the top 1% of the earners, which is still an insane amount. So top 1% of the earners make around $823,000 a year. If you look at that, there's a lot of people who make that. Lawyers, doctors, business owners, they all make around there. The business owners, the ones that do the good work, the best out of best, maybe you have hired some type of employee, maybe you work some type of job or multiple jobs and businesses come back together. If you combine wages, you're looking at about that amount. So those people who make that amount, those are the ones that could bring it up to the next level if they want to. Because once you're hitting around that certain income level, it makes it a lot easier to make money. There's always a saying that it takes money to make money, and this is a perfect example. And those people within the top 1%, maybe they're really satisfied with their life. Personally, I wouldn't be satisfied because I like change. So first, you got to define how much money that you want to earn that you will be satisfied. And keep in mind, during the good times, there are always going to be bad times. So you always want to invest and have some type of emergency fund or relief fund. It's because it's life. Life changes. Going down the list. Now, the next one is the top 5% of income earners, which is, this one I feel like is a lot more realistic. This is majority of the people who graduate from a 4-year degree and after they get the 4-year degree, they get to their doctorate degree, their master's degree after their bachelor's. I say this majority of the category. These will put you in the top 5% of income earners, which currently in their average, they're looking at $342,000. So it makes sense. Thanks to inflation and over time, the income goes up, but the price of goods and services also go up. So $342,000, which is quite a lot. This, you can basically, you're set for life. If you want to get a house, well, I hate to break it that way. If you get a house in California, it's minus the expenses, probably gonna take a few years. So $342,000 sounds like a lot, but it really depends on what you want to do. If you want to buy a house in California, tough luck. That it's not gonna happen in 1 year. In New York, that ain't gonna happen in 1 year. It's gonna take multiple years. If you are, let's say, you live in Texas or Florida, by all means, if you make basically $250,000 a year, then you can definitely afford a home over there. So it really depends on your situation where you live. If you live in Texas, if you make that amount, you're really fortunate because different states pay different salaries and have different living of standards, which breaks down, I believe, this one, at least this should be a goal for a majority of all income earners, or at least families, which is the top 10% of earners, which they calculated at $173,000, $173K. That amount is considered, to me personally, is a great amount because that amount can cover you a lot. So you want to go out and eat, you can go out and eat. You need to invest. If you have investments, then that's a perfect time. You can take a spare amount, like about every year, 20 to 30 grand after you pay your taxes and put it out into investments. And unfortunately, you will be on the higher tax bracket. In that tax bracket, you're looking around the 10% within California. And that excludes all the other taxes. The list goes on forever. But in that case, then you have a healthy amount for you and marginalized for you to use. So you take a quarter chunk, put in investments, another quarter chunk, use emergency, and a quarter chunk, pay all your bills and your daily necessities. And the rest you can use it for however you want. So top 10%, I believe majority of people and the people watching this channel should at least try to strive for that. So if your current job is not helping you, then start doing job hopping. If you don't like what you're doing, then maybe start a business. Try to find something different. Try to find change so you can reach that next level income bracket. So that I only mentioned, which is the 4 categories, which breaks down to the 5th category. This 5th category, I personally see it as majority of people should try to achieve it, and unfortunately, majority of people in America don't achieve it. But they say that 50% of the population make on average around the $100,000 mark, which is I consider quite a lot, which is pretty impressive. And of course, the data shows not every single data agrees that 50% of American population makes that much. But let's assume that majority of the population does make that much, at least around $100,000 a year per person. If it's not per person and if it's with a family, then that changes the whole story. So imagine if you're a single parent, you make $100,000 and the other parent doesn't make that amount, then you have the whole burden of family, kids, then you have vehicle expenses, taxes, then you have food expenses, the list goes on. So this one, they're talking about 50% of the population in America. So within that group, would you be happy? So based on data that some sources said that money doesn't buy happiness. Personally, if you put it that way, if you look at what happens, you get into something like a medical trouble, medical bill comes out, you have to go surgery, maybe you got cancer, maybe something happened to family, it requires a massive amount of bill. Would $100,000 cut it? Personally, I would say no. And I'm pretty sure those people, maybe they use insurance to cover it. What happens if insurance doesn't cover? And of course, if you're not from America, let's say you're from Canada, Europe, you say universal health care, then what I have to reply to that is, well, that's unfortunately, America doesn't have that. That's a whole nother story for another topic. So if you think $100,000 a year is enough, and personally, I hope that you try to strive higher than that, at least within the top 10% of income earners. And right now in this video, we may look at what majority of the population is currently at. Of course, a lot of people are making a lot more money compared to like 1990s. But at the same time, price of goods and services have also gone up. So like I mentioned in previous videos of wage inflation and job inflation, this is a perfect example of it. So $100,000 used to be a ton of money. And now, thanks to inflation, it's just not as powerful as it used to be. So in this case, if the $100,000 would be the standard limit, then what happens, then you look at that, it's like, okay, maybe I'm living a comfortable life. Maybe like it's not too bad. So if 100 grand wasn't too bad, then you think about people making minimum wage. What category would they be in? Because based on the statistics and data I looked at, none of them can really come up with a concrete answer. At this point, this is a big chunk of the American population. And just putting at 50% of the population make $100,000 or more, I believe that's a little bit pushing it. I believe that's probably even less, honestly. So if you think about people who make less than that, then if they, let's assume they don't live in California. If they don't live in California and you're making like minimum wage of $15 an hour, in that standard, you're making around like 36,000 a year, maybe around 50. Then in that case, yeah, you're basically scraping the bottom of the barrel. If you live in like, say, like Wyoming, middle of the states, Nebraska, then that wouldn't be as a burden. Let's say you make $50,000 a year and you live in California as a teacher, then you're basically, that $50,000 is not as powerful compared to when you use it to Nebraska. In that case, you're definitely in trouble if you live in Cali for making that amount. So overall, these income brackets really show that what percentage groups do what and how much do they make. And to break away, like to kick up to the next level, besides making more money by finding a different job or starting a new business, you also have to invest. For example, income, if you throw into like dividend income, maybe Roth IRA, the whole list goes on. You can look at other videos on my channel and look at other YouTubers. What do they mention, and give you out the basics, and you do your due diligence from there. For example, clicking the subscribe button down below and a like button. So breaking down these income categories and brackets, some people said that like $100,000 a year to be around the top 50% of America says a little bit too much. Hey, look at it this way. Look at a more positive note. If you look at glasses half full and half empty, always try to look for it half full. Look for the water itself. And at the same time, think, instead of asking, oh God, it's too hard to get there. Maybe it's too difficult to get there. How long is it going to take? The best question to ask is, how do you get there? What do I need to do, and what do I need to sacrifice and change myself to get there? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, share, and subscribe, and have a nice day. See you guys next time.